Good morning, happy Sunday, and football is here. It's time to lock in and see if we could get you some prep as you get your fantasy teams all situated for the day, and you prepare to kick back and hopefully enjoy a Sunday. We were getting excited to kick off the season last week, and I kept telling myself I'm not going to let football affect my happiness, especially as a Browns fan. And Sunday was probably the most miserable day ever. I guess in lieu of that, before we get in today, we're going to be talking Tua. We've got a couple clips we're going to address, and then addressing the matchups for the day. But before we get into it, I got my good friend Will here. Will, what are your thoughts on the Browns' performance? I think your attire for the day might say it all.
For today, I'm looking forward to it. Last week, old news. Got to keep it back there. I don't think it's going to be good, though. I'm not opportunistic or optimistic. I think it's going to be a disaster.
I can agree. Doug, do you have any predictions for the day?
Browns win by a field goal. That's my prediction.
I would love it. I won't complain.
So talking about the game itself. Oh, I still have the graphic up. Talking about the game itself, Deshaun is so far from a franchise quarterback, and it couldn't be clearer now. And there's a piece of you that gets excited. Myself, you would be more quick to exclaim this than I would, but you get excited for Baker, somebody that was kind of crippled by running with a weight vest on, which is being in Cleveland. I think he also did need to have a humbling moment to kind of get himself back on track. And he's found that in Tampa. He's an underdog type guy, and he's found that again, that atmosphere again. And the team's got chemistry, and he's significantly more reliable. But it shows that so much of our problem here in Cleveland is our organization, and so much less the players themselves.
Oh, it's like I told you. It's like how I related them to like the baseball team. It's like
hold that closer.
It's like Chubb and Myles Garrett. They're like Jose, right? They're not like big talkers, but like
Lindor and Jose, the duo we used to have.
Yeah. And like Lindor was more of like a Baker type. Like there was more of like the personality for him there. Like now it's Naylor, not quite as good as the others, but like Deshaun, and I don't even think Stefanski really brings any of like that kind of energy as well. Like in terms of like a vocal leader, like a face of the team, I don't know who it is other than like you'd say Chubb and Miles, but it's like they're very like different kind of
they're not a leader type. You could rely on them. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. They perform, but they're not a personality to carry.
Yeah, there's no like fire that they bring to them. Like for instance, Detroit, it's literally Dan Campbell. Like that is Dan Campbell's team. I don't know whose team this is. I just know it's the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
I don't really know who like is playing behind. I mean, Chubb's still out. It's
and the sad part is the organization itself has committed itself to Stefanski. I mean, when you go through 20 coaches,
just extended him. Just extended him and Barry.
But the good news is, depending on how this all plays out with Deshaun, we could get out of the rest of his guaranteed contract. There is that clause.
In year 3, and that's like the goal is like, please Christ, get us out of this deal.
Please, I hope he's a creep to just one more person so we could get out of it. It's so sad that that's like in the chamber come Monday after a terrible performance Sunday.
Too bad we don't get back our draft picks either that we traded.
Let me ask you this.
You got to live with that.
In a world where he just magically performs tomorrow or today, like let's just say in an hour,
I would love it at this point. Like if
we flip? We love him again. We were starting revering him.
I need a little bit more out of one game, but screw it. Just do it. We put a lot into this. Unfortunately, we didn't have a say, but we put a lot into this. I do not like him, but if you're gonna make me happy in any degree, please just be the reason we brought you here.
Right.
Instead, it's like, what use are you as a person?
None.
Go away.
Well,
don't take our money.
And there's also an element here where it seems like it's a perfect reflection of human nature. When you don't have anything to work for anymore, when you got the bag and the bag is so much that you and the next 3 generations don't have to work.
Baby.
Yeah.
Trust fund baby.
No, not just you. Like you have Nepo babies that you will be birthing for the next how many generations, I think that takes away all motivation. Like, who needs to be good?
It is impressive. He doesn't. It's supposedly like of all the things, he doesn't have a kid yet, though.
Yeah, it's
that we
impressive.
I'm just
know
saying.
of.
Well, because he's like, I just want you to touch me.
yeah. He's got a very specific kink.
God, what a
Very-
freak.
Yeah,
What a
he's
freak.
creepy
Like, the
dude.
amount of conversations I've had this week where it's like, what I hate the most about the Cleveland Browns is the situation, the position you've put me in to where
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
left defending or standing beside such a vile person.
Yeah.
You know what? I really don't want to get too bogged down by the Browns. One, it's just
Yeah,
the
this went from
Browns.
the Tua show to like Deshaun. Problem child.
And well, no, just touch it for a minute. That's all we're doing. And again, I don't want to go down that road too much for that exact reason. Like, it's overplayed, and of
We'll
course,
be talking about him next Sunday. Like, it's not going nowhere.
he will be breaking us every week. Every
He
week.
played marginally better.
The amount of weeks where it's like you'll see a tackle and it's like, did you twist his
How
ankle?
many weeks are left in the season that we have to feel this way?
It really felt bad when that was my first thought after week 1. I was like, when is this thing over?
Well, then you see like a dog pile after the tackle, and he's like, don't get up, don't get up. Oh, he's good. He's going back to the huddle. Oh.
I felt bad. I did give him credit. I was like, you know what? He finished the game. He didn't fake injury. He was out there the whole time.
That's how many lacking games we've had. The amount of games where he's left early, he's been injured, he's held himself out
Dude,
because he just doesn't feel up for it.
It's year 3. He's played in 14 games. That is a weird number.
Year 2, he was in a Los Angeles suite watching his team play. That's the cat we're talking about.
Didn't even bother getting on the sidelines either.
I just, I everything he does seems like a big deal because like it's just like, God, you suck. Like like
I just love, imagine tweeting the day before, I'm still an elite quarterback. It's like, no. Other people call you elite. You don't call yourself elite. To then make that exclamation and that's your performance.
dude, there's the empathetic part of me that would like feel bad for an individual. For instance, like Daniel Jones, I feel bad for Daniel Jones. I'm like, Dad, they pay you a lot of money, but man, you suck. But I wish you played better. You seem like a decent guy.
Right.
With Deshaun, it's like just pile on this stupid son of a bitch. Like you
it-
suck.
And you know what?
And you're our guy.
Exactly. And we're stuck with you. And they'll project upon him that it's the line, No, watch the clips. I could have bored us for hours going through like the amount of pockets he had for 5, 6, 7 seconds that he would either abandon or hold the ball too long, or again, he doesn't know how to read the field. That was another thing that was a takeaway from last week. Now, that all being said, and we could close the topic with this. He did experience the loss of his father, and that would have
And
an
a
impact on
close
it.
friend too.
And a close friend. Were they hanging out? Were they like?
No, it's just like his dad died, and then a day later his friend died, and then he had to play that game pretty much.
Man, I was seeing like an Always Sunny rum ham situation. I was like, they both.
Rub ham, no.
Wow.
So I just maybe we'll chalk it up to that, and maybe like a high school football kid, he'll write his dad's name on his taped wrist and bring him the extra power, the juice to deliver today.
All I know is it's like we're gonna find out within like 2 hours.
Yeah,
We're like 2 hours away from being like,
We're an hour away from the start, so an hour, and so 2 hours away from knowing if we're gonna hate our lives or not.
exactly. And then it will be the dark cloud for the rest of our day.
can't get much better.
It is so sad we've tied our happiness to this sport, this game, this
For 5
piece
months
of
of the year,
entertainment.
this
Dictates
a lot
our
of your
happiness.
Well,
decide.
dude, this is exactly why, though, that if Cleveland Browns ever win a Super Bowl, that parade will shut down the entire Northeast Ohio area. It will put the Cavs parade to shame.
It's gonna be really cool when Deshaun does that for us.
Hey, if it happens with Deshaun, I'll kiss the
I'll eat
guy.
my words. Everything
Yeah,
I've said
I'll
today,
kiss
I'll
the
be like,
guy.
yeah, he did it.
He did it.
He did something that no other quarterback in Cleveland could do.
Was
And I
before we break down the Tua situation further, here's a crazy clip from this past weekend, dude. This clip is wild to me, noteworthy, I think, for the week.
And
Catch the line guy behind him. He takes a.
yeah. I
Oh
look at
my
his leg.
gosh.
Oh God.
His leg is just dangling.
And that was from last weekend.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Dude, taking like a helmet to the leg or
Takes
shoulder
him
pad to the
out.
leg. Ooh.
Watch Kamara notice. He's like, oh, nope. I'm out.
Dude,
That's
it's
a
third
you
down.
problem.
Dude, it's third down, man. I gotta get out there.
Yeah, they got to hand me the ball. I don't know.
That looks like workers' comp, man. I gotta get it.
If you need an attorney, I can find you. I can find you guys.
I'm assuming he can't sue, but if he could, he'd make a lot of money off of Kamara.
I think I would hope the Saints would fight for that. I'd be like, dude, he caught an out route, man. Like, how did he know?
We were competing.
He's
for
out
the
in the
dub.
flats, man. It was
Yeah.
second down. We needed some yardage.
Double coverage. What do you expected from us? All right. So this is a conversation that is brought upon heavy dialogue because again, we've got a room full of guys that we've all played football together. We grew up enjoying this sport. There's a lot of fun in it. But then also there's a whole dangerous side to it. We spent a Friday night football game where a guy was on the verge of paralyzing himself. They had to cart him out, and it was a gruesome evening. But fortunately, he pulled through.
And then we had another friend who got hit so hard he forgot the game started, and it was halftime.
True. That was crazy. And that's it. That's a great point, Doug. We've seen some very wild sides of concussions and the dark side of football. Myself, there was a period in middle school. Your aunt was my computer teacher.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Fainted in class.
Yeah.
I had a concussion, fainted in the middle of class. Dude, I have now
Painted.
painted. I have like an issue of balance in my ears because of the couple of concussions I've had with football. That all, leading to at the same time, I've got lifelong friends. I've got a strength and character, having to push and persevere in situations that are a physical test that most people you don't face in your regular day-to-day. That's the beauty of sports and competition. It brings that call to adversity. And there's a dangerous side to this, right? The people that thrive in those environments the most tend to be the people that, it makes their entire existence, and they won't walk away from it, even when they need to, even when, this is a life or death situation. If you don't walk away, you'll die. It's kind of like a cigarette addict. At some point, they'd rather just die. This is such a piece of their fabric. So here's Tuo, who is somebody that, has really, for the amount of concussions and issues he's faced, really marked a position for himself on an incredible team, staking himself as a credible franchise quarterback.
He got that money too.
Boy,
Got paid like a year ago.
Yeah. Well, and that'll be an element to this too. But here's the clip from this past week. Oof.
And you know what?
And it doesn't look like it doesn't look bad, but that's
that
a
didn't look
sign.
like
Him flailing his arms like that, like those are all the signs that they're telling people to look for now.
And it is crazy. It feels like every single time he's had one of his big concussions, his body reacts the same way on the field.
Boy, and it's bad. It's bad.
Like it almost looks like a mini seizure.
And that's what it is. Your brain is actually like just losing communication with your body.
So
but again, that wasn't like no gruesome hit in terms of like
right,
like an extreme.
He has it more extreme. Like some of his other ones were from.
Well, yeah. So let's take a look at them. It starts with the first one, right? This one we just had. Here is a run through of all of his concussions he's faced so far. I mean, this one's pretty bad, but if you notice,
this one was bad.
It's falling the back of your head, and here's why I think he's so sensitive right now.
He got up,
and then he falls again.
He falls again. Yeah,
down. So
that was like a pure whiplash smack.
Oh my God! It's all your weight whipping that force. It's not even like just the force, blunt force,
and then
another one.
Oh,
and again, this is the gruesome one.
The hands going into protective mode like that, like. your brain.
That's what I
is-
mean. Like it almost seems like every time now his body's reacting the same way. So
I
I don't
mean-
even know if it's like as severe as the last
Oh.
one, or like you said, he's just like so used to him now.
I think
they
he
just, like,
broke
trigger.
the seal with that first back of the head hit.
Yeah.
And if you're continuously popping the back, you're boom, another back
one.
of the head hit. Like that's so much worse than just a head hit.
And again, like the tackle
Pop.
itself, it's not like anything egregious. It's just the way he fell.
Right. It's
You
just the
know?
way he
it's not
fell.
like he just got smoked. It's like no, just routine wrap up tackle, just hit the ground hard.
Well, so let's have that conversation, right? So first, how out of pocket is this from the
The
announcers?
field and went into the locker room.
Little irony there. He got hit by DeMar Hamlin, who knows that history.
Dude, they know. Like they know what they're doing. Like that's like perfectly timed. Like that's a professional. Like on the
Right.
field, like who hit him? DeMar Hamlin? Wow. Who go figure?
Go
Like, you know, like
I mean, but that's a hell of a headline, though. Like,
Well, and so for those of you who don't know, just last year there was one of the only times I've ever seen it in my lifetime
was
where
that
a
last
football
year?
team, where a football game is not able to continue, where
Yeah.
they actually stop a game, and because of the commotion and the effect it's had on the rest of the field and the players themselves, they cancel the game. And I just love go back to it. Those weren't big hits. DeMar Hamlin's hit, that
no,
wasn't
DeMar
a big
Hamlin's,
hit.
Yeah.
These
Nothing
from
crazy.
Tua, not crazy hits, but it's either you're hitting your head in such a perfect way
Yeah, I think
or
it's
momentum that does it. Now, this takes the full circle dialogue. Do you prevent people from having playing football or having it offered at a young age? Where we make these restrictions, it's like, while yes, at a young age, you're more susceptible, your brain is in development and it can be more dangerous. At the same time, they're coming at each other at, I don't know, a 10-year-old's force. So it's also not like they're hitting each other that hard,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
proportional. So I don't think it really is as dangerous as we make it out to be. But then do you want to risk making a lifelong impact? I mean, it's funny. You could have a comedian like Tom Segura that's like, I love football and everything about my image and my personality is football. My sons would never play football. And it's like, wait, what?
I mean, I get it as the older we get, but like I'm with you. I think as like kids, like
Switch it, Doug.
when you're playing as a kid too, it's all like age gapped, like Gerget kind of said too. So like you're playing with other people within 1 year of your age, you're all going to be similar size unless there's sometimes that freak of nature kid that's like giant
just a little
compared
bit
to
more
you.
mature. He's hit
Oh,
puberty.
yeah. And we all had a couple of them.
Yeah.
Right?
So
But
like
I'm with you and Doug on that.
the
Like, I think
Pee-wee
it goes by
football is
age.
probably safer than when you're in high school. Puberty is all different. People's size is all different. Like, high school, you could be a sophomore who happens to be starting going up against a senior. Like at high school, it's a little different. Pee-wee, though, it's probably safer than playing any other level.
Right.
I'm with you on that. Like, I think like I can't imagine a 10-year-old running that fast to just like knock
Exactly.
you out, But like once you get like once that puberty really hits, like you're kind of like a young grown man. Like, yeah, that's when I really think you can get hurt.
Well,
mean-
but are you going to stop your 15-year-old from
by
playing?
By then, if you're playing, you're in it. And like these guys, like in the league, like literally, it's their life. Like,
Right.
Literally.
And
feeds their
so
family.
this gets back to that addiction, right? Like here is a player that if left to their own demise,
Yeah.
they would ride this into the sunset.
Oh,
they,
you
they
know,
would play
guys have
football.
already done it.
Exactly.
Guys have already done that in the past. It's like now he is the first real case where I'm like, you should consider getting out. We've
Yes.
seen enough of this. Whereas like before, Vontaze Burfict would absolutely wreck guys. Absolutely wreck guys going across the middle. Colt McCoy, you think that looked like a crazy hit and was a concussion. Nobody had this conversation with Tua.
We
it's
threw
like,
him
I've
back
seen-
out there.
I've seen so many now hits with Tua where like his hands go into the defense mode. Like it's like this is bad. Like you should consider.
The hands are the biggest tell, right? Because
Well, it's
we've
like we
seen-
talked about Denzel Ward. It's like Denzel Ward's had like that conversation's there for him too, but you don't see it like on TV as much. Like a lot of the times you find out he's a concussion, you're like, I don't even know who's hurt.
Well, he's had like 4 or 5 concussions
He's
now.
had quite a few, yeah.
Well, and another person worth noting is someone like Antonio Brown, who had one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
most insane hits ever, and then 100% flipped his personality after that.
Yeah, Vontae's perfect changed that person forever on that.
But what's
hit.
crazy is that didn't leave him with a neurological reflect that
Yeah.
like has his
I'm with you on
fingers
that.
curling and that has this guy having like schizophrenic rants with cops in the street and fighting with his baby mama and everything. It's like that is something we point at and go, look, this is CTE. This is something that is a result of it. And we didn't even have as much of a physical outward expression on the field like we do with Tua. So is he going to be Aaron Hernandez? Is this going to turn into like
he's not. He's not. I personally I get your argument. Antonio Brown is an arrogant dickhead. And I think when he got paid
Hot
his
take.
bag, he became an arrogant dickhead. I think Tua's just a young kid. It's like, got to get out before it gets like real bad. I think Ryan Clark famously said to like Mike Tomlin, he's like, if you pay him, he will not be the same.
Well,
Talking about Antonio Brown.
what's interesting about Tua too is all of his concussions have been on national TV. Like
Yeah,
it's not like other
always.
ones, like in like just Denzel Ward. Well, he's not always in the play. They're not always showing
Exactly,
him.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
he's
but
right.
Tua's in sight, and I was actually reading some that technically the NFL can force retirement on a player.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's part of the negotiation with the
About
players
CTE
union
stuff
because
and all that.
again, if you're going to hold me accountable or try to down the line,
It's like you said,
then-
these guys will go their whole life. Like they'll fight through that.
right?
If Tua were to come out and be like, yeah, I'm still playing, I'd be like, yeah, of course he is. Why would he just decide to stop? You know
well,
what I mean?
and this is why I think it's a totally unfair dynamic. When I was in law school, I took sports law and I did a paper defending the NFL for any future or current CTE cases.
An admirable campaign
Oh, of course.
defending the NFL.
Like, yeah, of course, right? Like I didn't like it either, but it was because truthfully, it was my heart. I really don't think there's a world where you could ever come back and sue them. Why? Because you think I like my 9 to 5? I
Yeah.
don't. It's because I can't do what you want to do or what you can do. And
Yeah.
if I had the choice, I'd be there.
Oh, I'd be there.
And so one, I wholeheartedly in the pit of my loins know that could negatively impact my cognition. I still would jump at it the second I have an opportunity. So the fact that you are aware and you continue to do it, I really don't have much empathy for you. And when they pointed their specific doctors, I don't want to go down that road too much, but when they point to
Independent.
these doctors that are being cited for being kind of the tip of the spear in the science of CTE, one of the things you always want to push back on is, okay, you say Aaron Hernandez is the worst case of CTE we've ever seen. But then you also reflect upon the fact that there are documented instances where his father was slamming his head on the kitchen counter, an extremely abusive father. The parents of his mother and his siblings were a victim of it. So how much of this is that? Now,
I think a lot. I think a lot. I'm with you. Like,
exactly,
yeah,
and that's why.
yeah.
So
it's
here,
a nice art. It is a good argument. but
let's say part of the CTE you developed was from football. Okay, well, let's also agree Warren Sapp, Tom Brady, Chad Ochocinco. These are folks that have a little bit of CTE, not enough CTE to make you snap your psychosis and go kill your friend, but just enough CTE to have it, but still be a functioning member of society. So I want to make an argument that you could have enough CTE to where you could still buy your cup of coffee and not snap. But then also the balance is what pushes you over. And if walking to get the mail at the mailbox during the middle of winter and I slip and hit my head on the driveway, if that could have a significant impact, then, and what's the documentation on that? It's a mitigating factor that is totally unmeasured. You can never say football caused this if any moment in my life I could have collected it outside of football, and it all I don't know. There's no way of measuring that, so it's all moot. It's all moot, and so clearly make it very clear what you're signing up for. I love the fact that the NFL can intervene when it gets so egregious where it's like, listen, you're going to walk yourself to death. So we're going to intervene. Then, yeah, there's no liability. You can't make me out to be the bad guy. But when you open that door, if you don't pull somebody out when you should have, then the argument can be made that you kept somebody in and you could have pulled them and you didn't. And so now everything that happened post where you should have and you didn't is your fault. And you've created that standard.
The thing is I see the dual argument there. I don't ever see it getting to that point. You know what I mean? Like if Tua comes back and keeps playing, like people at the end of the day are going to look at him and be like, yeah, you still chose to do it.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of it, it's like you still get that opportunity.
That's where I'm at.
You know,
Alex,
everybody, it's like the idea. Truthfully, what's the biggest argument for it? Free will. It's just free will. I make my choice. Sure, you can make the argument, which very plausible argument, especially in his case.
But dude, and that bag is huge.
Exactly.
Like if the forced buyout for Tua gives him $125 million.
That's
Oh my God.
only if they force him to retire, he'll get the rest of his guarantee. But if they don't force him
Right.
and he chooses, then they'll have to go.
Well,
into
then I would keep
negotiation.
pushing it until
Yeah,
like
you know?
imagine you're all like they spatted up your cleats,
The
you're all
NFL's
taped up,
smart.
and they're like, oh no, we'll let you play. You want to play? And he's like, nah.
But Alex, you mentioned the whole like you can't track the CTE. That's why they're talking about putting sensors like pressure or contact
wanna
sensors in
microchip
the
us.
helmet. So like
They want to watch our every
if a
movement. on the
player,
field.
but like if a player takes like a big hit, the sensor will trigger like it, or like then they could actually start measuring the amount of contact you're taking to the head, and then you might actually have enough information.
I kind of love that. I just love the idea of this chip. You just getting clocked, and the chip just says to the people, "Whoa, you know?
We got a
Danger,
Tua.
danger.
Whoa, how was that one? Bad, bad. Get him out. Get
They
him out
call
right
it
now.
a Tua alert.
Really?
I mean, I think
Really?
it's clever.
I gotta
Colt
open.
McCoy's the reason we even have a protocol at all.
I gotta open you up to a whole new world. You probably don't know the subculture within football fandom of people that obsess over football helmets, like my father. And it's so funny. My dad he's got an insane football helmet collection and he's obsessed with it. He hates the fact that they're now integrating those like helmet cushions.
Yes, yeah.
So now you got
the
players out there with
the
this
Guardian
like
cap.
push cushion sock on top of their head.
This condom on their
And,
helmet.
yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing? You ruined the helmet. The whole aesthetic's ruined." Heaven forbid we try to save each other's heads.
Now I'm gonna have to buy these helmets.
And truthfully, we don't want to go down that road too. But with the helmets being such a hard shell,
Yeah.
you throw yourself in compromising situations that you probably otherwise wouldn't if you didn't have that blind protection. But then I also think the bouncing of them off of each other probably enhances the negative impact.
I'm just thinking like the idea, like this is a conversation now between players. Hey, are you a hard shell or a soft shell turtle? And that's how they identify.
Well, I identify as a softie. I gotta tell you.
Everyone in the room. Oh God.
Okay.
Just slowly back away.
So closing it up, I think it's clear to even if you don't get the opportunity to get a buyout and get $125 million, you've made enough. You've made your mark, and you could ride in the sunset. Maybe be involved with coaching or commentary, but there's another way for you to find impact and value beyond risking yourself to a point where you're a vegetable. It isn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I hope he does what's best for him. At the end of the day, I'm a consumer of the NFL. So if you want to,
I'm watching. If
yeah,
you're
I'm
out
watching.
there, I'm
If
watching.
you're playing,
you.
I'm watching, dude. Like, but that's on you. But I hope nothing but the best for his health. Like, truthfully.
I can agree. Doug, what do you have any thoughts?
I kind of hope he retires because he's had pretty major ones with like everything we talked about. You can see the symptoms. So I hope he retires. Part of me wishes they force him so that he can just get all that guaranteed money. I don't want him to have to work, think about playing just to get that money.
Yeah, like Will looks at me. They're not.
They're
No,
not just gonna be like, hey.
Well, actually, this
dog.
is in such national spotlight, and all of his have been that the NFL actually might use that policy.
I would agree. I could see them doing it in one instance, like this one, where it's so egregious.
it's national
5 times
everywhere.
over.
No, give an inch, take a mile. Everyone,
You're right.
Screw that. You are Tua. Hey, if you blew through your cash, I guess you're getting back out there. Like,
We've
kidding
got
me?
shoulder pads.
Are you kidding me? Like, there's no shot. Give an inch, take a mile. Antonio Brown's come back and is like, I'm coming for that ass. Like, you kidding me? You kidding me? No, not a shot.
Facts. All right. So first, let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on the Thursday night football game? Obviously, we're sitting here talking to.
What are you talking about?
like-
We just talked about it for 30
Well,
minutes.
no, but the Dolphins just got wrecked, and they were a team that I genuinely thought was about to just run through the league.
I just think I think Josh Allen is now like 12-2 against Miami. I just think it's one of those. It's like, yeah, he has their
He's
number.
got their number.
He's got their number completely. That's
like the
really what it
Bengals.
felt like to me.
They can't do it.
Tua didn't have a
with us.
good game. Unfortunately, is now hurt. But like, I just think that's a team where it's like Big Ben against us. It's like, yeah, he owns us.
That's right.
He,
Do
like,
you know,
he
who's
owns
the
us.
Dolphins' backup? Do we know?
Who
Oh,
cares?
I don't even know that.
It's a who cares.
True. Well, no, but at the same time, they what?
Was
The
it?
Jacksonville Jaguars will trade Mac Jones to the Miami Dolphins. What?
This
I don't
is
know
Mac
if
Jones.
that's true.
That would be wild.
This has the potential to be a cool story in the NFL. If Mike McDaniels is able to figure out Mac Jones, that'd be a cool story. I'm not saying I'm optimistic or hopeful, but that would be a cool story.
I would agree. So let's get into some of the Sunday football matchups. First, let's start with us. What are you expecting from the Browns and the Jags?
I'm thinking it's a 10-point loss. I think you're going to see like a 27-17 game. And I think like that 17 we tack on is just like a last garbage time. Makes it look better on paper. I don't have any faith in Deshaun. I really don't.
That's the truth.
He's played 14 games here. He's had one good half. And let me tell you, the Deshaun defenders, they let you know about that half whenever they get the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It's so sad.
So unfortunately, that's where I'm at. Would love for a Doug upset. Like you said, win by field goal. I would love that.
So would I. That's why I said it.
There's Doug. Looking at the Raiders and the Ravens, I think I'm excited for this one because it's going to be telling on what we can expect from the Raiders. I think we know what we got from the Ravens. The Ravens are going to dominate. They're for sure going to have our division on lock. They've got solid players. You know, the curious thing will be, can they actually make something happen in the postseason? Because they have all the parts. They just never seem to deliver on it. The curious thing will be, how will the Raiders fare with that? What do you think?
Oh, Ravens.
I think so too.
This is a 10-point game.
But okay, wait, I would say a 10-point difference between the two of them is closer than I would
Lamar
naturally
Jackson
expect.
against Gardner Minshew, I'm taking a 10-point Raven win.
But okay, I agree. But if you live in a world where the Raiders compete, then they're clearly a stronger team than we're expecting for this season. If they get
I don't
run
think the
over,
Raiders are bad. I think the Ravens are just that good.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
think
The
Ravens
Ravens,
are just that
but
good.
that's why I think the Ravens are a solid marker for how a team is going to hold up. Because if you're going up against a Super Bowl contender, right? Look at how they just fared with these returning Super Bowl champs. If you have them show up and bring their best and you compete, maybe lose by even a field goal, right? 10 is pretty solid. You lose by a field goal, I don't know. You're rocking with a pretty solid squad. But Chargers, Panthers, what do you think? This is a
Chargers.
waste. I could care less.
Chargers next.
Yeah.
Next.
This one I think is going to be exciting. The Saints and the Cowboys, simply
Cowboys.
because the Cowboys look great.
Cowboys.
And is it because we were just that terrible?
I think we
or-
were just that bad too.
I think
I do too.
No, it's just Cowboys. They could be a playoff team. Saints, no,
Right.
they're not. But like the Saints aren't bad.
Derek Carr
Cowboys
had a
are
week.
fantastic
Though.
at home
Derek Carr had a great week last week.
against Carolina. Let's not,
Right.
know, but like kudos to him. He had a great game, but it's like I think Dallas is pretty good.
Right.
Their limitation is Dak, and Dak's not bad.
Right.
I would take Dak over Derek Carr for sure.
Let me ask you, because I'm sure you couldn't be more excited. What do you got for the Bucks?
Oh, Detroit. I have Detroit like a field goal game. I think it's a close game. It's going to be like the playoff game. I think it's going to be
hope
a
so.
solid game. I think you're seeing two teams that might play each other in the divisional round again this
Right.
year. But I think Detroit is like the AFC's Houston. I think they're going to be a team. I'd love to see Detroit make a playoff, like a Super Bowl push again
Yes.
this year.
Yes, I agree.
And I think they're at that level more so than Baker with Tampa.
if it isn't us, it's the Lions. That's who I'm rooting for, and I think they've got the pieces to make it happen. They've got their momentum moving, and I think, like you said, this being probably their tightest competitor on their half, if they can hold up today, they probably will have some strong momentum in the
That's
season.
the best game in the 1 o'clock slate, if you ask me.
What,
Among
Detroit?
those are two playoff teams going at it.
I love Detroit. They're my other team other than the Browns. Like,
Yeah.
if the Browns left us, like if it was 90s, probably become a Detroit fan just because they're the only other team that had a winless season recently.
They're close by
so
too.
I know their pain, and they've just done so well.
And they don't have a Super Bowl, just like us.
Yeah.
just
honestly,
like us.
yeah.
They're our brothers in arms.
We're
That's right.
both impoverished franchises.
That's right. That's right. All right, Colts, Packers. That's one that I really couldn't get.
Pretty boring.
Excited
I'll
about
take Colts. If Jordan loves that, I'll take Colts, but that's about it.
Oh
it's
yeah,
pretty
Jordan
boring.
Love maybe. Yeah, that's
Yeah, the
fine.
Packers just seem to be a shell of what they've been and what they used to be.
If he's
I don't
healthy,
they'll
I
pull
think
it
they're
off.
solid, but he's out. And it's like, yeah, okay, that could be your year.
Right, right.
Welcome to the club.
Browns, Jags, like I said, we've already got that one. Looking at the 49ers and the Vikings.
Niners.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think the Vikings are good too. They're solid this
I
year.
don't think they're bad. I think they got Sam Darnold as a quarterback, and I think San Francisco and Kansas City are a league above any other team in the NFL.
But you got to remember their running game's going to be a little bit quaky today with Christian McCaffrey being out.
Jordan Mason picked him up as my backup. Funny enough, it kind of worked out that way. I'm expecting 20 points out of him.
Really?
Yeah, it's San
Bold
Francisco.
move, Cotton. Bold
It's
move.
San Francisco. I think that's a team much like Kansas City. Input, output, people in the offense, they're going to do well.
I can appreciate
Those
that.
are the only two teams in the NFL where I feel confident they do that week to week.
It does seem, moving on to the next one, it does seem like the Patriots might be getting some of their ducks in a row.
I
compared
would
to
love
what
to
they-
see New England somehow go 2-0. I don't think they're as good. I'm not.
I agree.
Burke's not on Drake May. He did all right last week. That'd be a fun upset. That would
I
be an
agree.
upset. That would still be an upset if they win.
I agree. But again, it's a doable one. It's a doable one at that.
Oh, come on, just the Jets. Just win. Just win,
Right.
please, for them, so people could shut up.
Well,
Just win.
Back to
Just
kind of
win.
like what Doug
You're
was
playing
saying
Will
about,
Levis and the Titans. Just win, okay,
Yeah.
Aaron. Just win. Go to the next one. Win.
and again, it's like I relate to that type of pain. So like,
Yes,
let somebody
yes.
catch a break. The Washington football team and the Giants.
Washington, boring.
Yeah,
like, it's
that's
it's a
right.
boring game.
Yeah, it's gonna be boring for sure.
Cardinals, the Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. That's going to be a fun game, though.
I think the Rams too.
That's going to be a fun game. I think the Rams are one of the top NFC teams, but I like Kyler. He in Arizona, they do their thing.
Unfortunately, we got to talk about the Steelers here. They're looking better than I'd
They
be.
look exactly the same. Their
As they always
defense
do.
rocks. Quarterback figuring it out. We're going to iron those details out. That's what Mike Tomlin's been saying since Big Ben. Denver.
and they are.
Denver. You know what, Bo Nix, get your first win over over Pittsburgh.
I
Go
would
for
love
it.
that.
Yeah, just
Oh,
go
Love
for
that.
it.
Heck yeah.
Let him sling that thing. I have high hopes for Bo Nix.
I
really do.
agree. Now, are we expecting a complete obliteration?
Chiefs. I don't know about obliteration, but they will win and they will hold the lead for most of the game.
Especially
You're going to
when
see, I
it's
think,
at-
a slightly better Cincinnati.
it's at Arrowhead again.
Oh, yeah. yeah.
Expect,
Those are
5
4
calls.
penalties right there.
Exactly.
That's 4 penalties right there. That's 40 yards of offense we just already have.
4 penalties in just being in their stadium.
And Houston, Chicago. Yeah. Caleb Williams is going to kind of look a little funky, I think,
Yeah.
on Sunday Night Football. I think Houston's going to look very we have a decent handle of things.
That's it.
We may not look fantastic, but we're geared up for the whole. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And
I'm
we played Chicago
expecting-
week 2.
I'm expecting CJ, old reliable, to come in here. I'm looking at CJ Stroud against the Bears, and I have I could always go back to Baker against the Lions. But I think I'm gonna keep it going.
Keep it CJ. Keep it CJ. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
solid. And what are we expecting for tomorrow? Monday Night Football. We got the Falcons
I
and the
think it's gonna
Eagles.
be
It's
an
the Bird
absolute-
Bowl.
Absolute ass kicking for Kirk Cousins. It's
Oh,
prime time Kirk Cousins. You're playing Philadelphia after they just came back from Brazil. Longer break between games.
Ooh.
And they played very well. And you're Kirk Cousins. Okay. You're like, You do not do well. Like that is easy money, I think, for a lot of people there.
I agree. Capitalize
Prime
on
time,
it.
Kirk Cousins, nah, not even in the room.
Capitalize on it. Easy money. Happy Sunday. We had some wild things to prep for our roster and our fantasy league going into this week. So many changes and shifts, but keep your ear to the ground because there's probably more to come today too. Sit back, enjoy a beautiful Sunday, maybe crack open a brewski and cry. I was going to say laugh with some friends, but I was going to say cry. Yeah, now I know the reality of my Sundays. Prepare to cry with your friends and eat away your feelings. Go Browns. But we go live every Sunday at noon. So don't miss your Sunday review if you're trying to get the cutting edge and have some laughs and some interesting football talk as you lead into your Sunday football. But otherwise, guys, enjoy another beautiful Sunday, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.